Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
Attorney John Deaton was on BitBoy Crypto's YouTube channel earlier today. It streamed live, as you can see on the screen here, 7 hours ago. And they talked for about 35 minutes exclusively on the topic of ETHgate. And they agree on a lot and disagree on a few other things. And I think I can kind of straighten this out for some people. I understand where a lot of the confusion is actually coming in. And it's frankly miscommunication, and I'll explain what I mean by that, but people can easily talk past each other if we're not actually even talking about the same thing. So I'm going to share with you some thoughts, and I actually just listened to this, not while it was live, I listened to it this afternoon as I was walking my pet peeve at a local park, and I had actually quite limited time today, and I wanted to make sure I was able to put out content because there's a lot going on today, actually. And so, as I was walking my pet peeve at the park, which is my 7-year-old terrier mix, I was actually taking notes on my phone as I was walking. Luckily, it didn't crash into anything while I was walking, but I wanted to make sure I didn't forget some of the more important points that were discussed between Attorney John Deaton and BitBoy Crypto. Now, before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have any legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Alright, so when it comes to ETHgate, is this a conspiracy or a fact? And that was at the core of the discussion between John Deaton and BitBoy Crypto, who of course is Ben Armstrong. I'm going to very briefly as possible, set the table so that we make sure everybody knows what's being discussed here. And I brought up this article from NASDAQ, actually. So this isn't some sort of fly-by-night concept, to be clear. Like NASDAQ, a major stock exchange in the United States, even they're covering it. And they stated, this article from NASDAQ stated this has merit. This article is from January 6th this year. And it's titled ETHgate 2022. The Ethereum scandal XRP investors are calling bigger than Enron. And then they ask here, what is ETHgate? And here's how they described it. ETHgate is a conspiracy theory that Ethereum received a free pass from regulators. These critics reasonably claim that the Securities and Exchange Commission allowed Ethereum to move ahead while doling out harsher treatment to XRP and other rivals. So let's pause there to note, they're calling it a conspiracy theory here. It is not a conspiracy theory, and I'm going to make my point as we go through the video, but that's what they're calling it. But if you go to the next section, is ETHgate real? That's what they titled the next section, and the first sentence reads as follows. The theory does have some merit. So I'm going to explain why some people think that it's conspiracy and some people think that it's not, at least as I see it anyway. And I'll be curious on your perspective, so keep the conversation flowing below in the comment section on this video. But a few things from Ben Armstrong's thread, BitBoy Crypto's thread from March 29th. I already went through this whole thread in great detail. And I think BitBoy Crypto, he has a reasonable, thoughtful position regarding ETHgate. I agree with him on a number of things, and I respectfully disagree on a number of others. I already made a video where I really broke this down, so I'm not going to do that in this video. There's only a few parts I do want to highlight so that you understand BitBoy Crypto's position before we go forward here. So I want to read this tweet. And this is again from March 29th from BitBoy Crypto. Nothing about these allegations have been proven. It's a conspiracy theory that a small pool of early Ethereum insiders paid off SEC officials to look the other way. The ICO was more centralized than it appeared due to an intentionally confusing web of wallet addresses. So I'll just pause here to note, I don't agree that that's what ETHgate is. So that's part of where we're coming in, and I'm going to expand upon that in a second here, but I just want to make sure you guys know some of the key points from his perspective, which I respect. I just feel differently on some key things, but I do agree with him on all sorts of other things. Perfectly fine, nothing against him. I'm just challenging some of his ideas because I think it's fun to talk about this stuff, and I'm all about diversity of thought. Here's another tweet from him, and this one really set some people off. He wrote the following: Ripple was unfairly targeted, Ethereum was not. This is where the anger from the XRP army comes into play and why people are so up in arms about this. You are angry, and that emotion needs a target. Ethereum is not the enemy. Your anger is misplaced via a conspiracy theory without proof. Now that last sentence, your anger is misplaced via a conspiracy theory without proof. I think that's what a lot of people didn't really care for. And I'm not offended by it. I'm glad he's sharing his perspective. This is perfectly fine by me. And then he wrote also here at the bottom, I'm just going to read the first sentence from this last tweet in the thread. He wrote, point is, ETHgate is much ado about nothing. Now, on that point, I extra super duper disagree. In fact, if you look at John Deaton's Crypto Law website here, this is not a conspiracy theory website, but if you look through here, I'm just kind of scrolling through. I'm not going to stop to read any of this, but his team thoughtfully plotted out a timeline with all the facts and circumstances surrounding what happened with Ripple, what happened with Ethereum, and how the SEC was responding, all of the market confusion, all of the appearances of impropriety, goes on and on and on for years and years and years. This took a lot of effort to put together, and I'm telling you, it absolutely, undeniably, is not a conspiracy theory. So where's the confusion coming into play then? Why is this happening? Well, here's a tweet that I put out about an hour ago. Let's see here. I wrote, the reason some people argue ETHgate is a conspiracy, while others say it's not, is because people don't agree on the definition of ETHgate. So let's start there. What constitutes ETHgate? I argue just the facts and circumstances surrounding it. Questions resulting from undisputed appearances of impropriety that follow don't make it a conspiracy. Firmly asserting bribery gets into conspiracy theory, but that's not part of ETHgate. And so look, let me just pause and note here. Like, I'm a 38-year-old man, I'll just tell you this. In so many aspects of life, if you're having a disagreement with somebody, what I've found to be the case many times is that you could actually agree on the facts and circumstances surrounding whatever it is that you're discussing, whatever the topic is, you could agree on all that, and then think that you actually disagree with each other because you disagree on a term. Does it constitute so-and-so? Well, if you both have different definitions of what that word is that you're arguing about, whatever's at the core of it, then you're going to think you're not having any common ground there when you could literally agree on every fact and disagree on a definition. So when you're debating anybody or having thoughtful conversation, it's very useful, whether it's crypto related or politics. Just pick your topic. It doesn't matter. If there's a point of contention, make sure before you even begin, ideally, if you're able to do that, make sure that you agree on the terms, or you're not going to be able to effectively communicate ideas to any other human on the planet. And so that's the problem here. There's a disagreement about what ETHgate even is. And I also then wrote, asking questions based on undisputed facts and occurrences equals not conspiracy theory. Making assertions, such as bribery, without proof equals conspiracy theory. And I feel pretty strongly about that. If you're just talking about the facts and circumstances, and people ask questions that are reasonable based on undisputed circumstances, What the hell is conspiracy theory related about that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing is conspiracy oriented about that. But if you're talking about assertions of bribery, well, then you're delving into that, and you can find some people, a small quantity of people in the XRP community that may have made those claims, but that's not what the vast majority of people are talking about when we say ETHgate. We're talking about the facts and circumstances, and that's why I said a couple minutes ago when Ben Armstrong wrote in this post from March 29th, nothing about these allegations have been proven. It's a conspiracy theory with a small pool of Ethereum insiders paid off SEC officials to look the other way. Well, okay, fine. That would, if that's what ETHgate were, then we're delving into conspiracy theory territory, because then you're asserting bribes and there's literally no proof of that. Now, I'm saying that there's appearances of impropriety. That's fact. You know, talk to the SEC ethics office. Do you think that they even knew about the $15 million Billy Boy Hinman was getting before he gave his Ethereum free pass speech? Because I'm gonna bet no. Because they didn't even want to go to dinner with his former law firm as an ad hoc group. Yeah, and I've talked about that before too. So if we're disagreeing here, it's because we're not agreeing on what ETHgate even is. So that's got to be a starting point. Now I want to dig into some of these notes that I made as I was walking here, and I apologize if any of this is redundant. I just made these notes, and I actually haven't reread them, so hopefully I didn't have typos and I don't stumble over this, but it made sense to me at the time. I promise you that. I promise it made sense at the time. So there you go. I wrote, ETHgate is not a conspiracy theory. The facts around it are not disputed by anyone. There are some people on Twitter that claim there were bribes given to individuals at the SEC to clear Ethereum, but there's no evidence of that. Claims like this are not part of ETHgate. However, questioning why ETH got a free pass while Ripple got sued, asking for an investigation on this, is fair game. Asking questions about appearances of improprieties does not make you a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, so it's kind of on the same point, worded a little bit different way. And then, you know, what's it have to do with Ripple? Well, it's all intertwined, and actually I talk about that a little bit further. Let me go through my notes a little further here. My next point. BitBoy Crypto points out that just as Ethereum was treated so favorably by SEC officials, does not mean just because it was treated so favorably by SEC officials, that does not mean that's the reason the SEC sued Ripple. And that is true. But ETHgate, as a set of facts, exists regardless. So it may be the case that Ripple is completely separate from this, and there weren't considerations. Maybe it's not the case that they decided to go after Ripple just because ultimately, Ethereum would be utilized via consensus since they bought a quorum. Maybe that wasn't even consideration that they'd become, Joe Lubin would be competing directly with Ripple. Maybe that wasn't it. We don't have facts on it. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's not evidence of that. It's reasonable to ask, okay, if you look at this and this and that, looks a little peculiar, kind of smells a little funky. Can we look into it? Can we have a third party look at it? Well, that's reasonable. That's not conspiracy theory. That's just saying, here are some facts. Can we do an investigation? Because it looks strange. There's nothing conspiracy about that, folks. There just isn't. My next point in the notes here. Here we go. Attorney John DEATON points out that Joe Lubin, co-founder of Ethereum, of course, said repeatedly XRP is not a competitor to Ethereum. His firm Consensus then bought Quorum from JP Morgan, which is a direct competitor to Ripple. That makes it reasonable to ask if something fishy is going on here. That does not make it rational to state affirmatively that there was indeed malicious intent behind these facts. That's kind of what I was just talking about. Okay, well, I guess I got ahead of my notes here. My brain just works the same way every time. I just loop after loop, right? Just ask me a question, hours apart, I'll still nail it, right? That's a good thing, right? Anyway, but the facts and questions that result from it are, and I'm sorry, I lost my flow. Assertions without proof are not part of ETHgate. Yeah, so going back to the concept of, okay, if you're making like bribery claims without any evidence, assertions with proof are not part of ETHgate, but the facts and questions that result from it are, and none of that is part of a conspiracy theory. And then the last bullet point I have here is, BitBoy Crypto said, we shouldn't focus on any potential SEC favoritism surrounding Ethereum, but I respectfully disagree. Ethereum favoritism, including Hinman's Ethereum free pass speech, as well as the 63 internal SEC emails surrounding it, directly impacts Ripple's fair notice defense. So all of this is relevant. We have to address this. And it's not that I want Ethereum or the co-founders of Ethereum to be sued by the SEC. I don't want the SEC to sue anyone else, frankly, until there's actually clarity, and then we can have a talk about that. So on that point, I agree with John DEATON, and I agree with Ben Armstrong.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.